Good evening and welcome to Back to School Night for DeMacy Middle School and specifically for attending our 6th grade social studies presentation here in Red Hall. I'm Mrs. Groff and I teach all of the Red Hall students in 6th grade social studies. Depending on what class period your student is in, they might also have a co-teacher in the room. I teach one period each day with Miss Miley, another with Miss Quigley, and another with Miss Lipinski. So first, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about what we cover here in 6th grade social studies. So our year is broken up into 3 major units. Primarily, we do one a trimester. So we have one unit based on the theme of change. That's the unit we are in right now. And we look at how progress and technology has impacted the world over time. We start all the way back in the Stone Age and prehistory, which is where we're currently at. We will soon be looking at Mesopotamia, and then we move into ancient Egypt. Our next unit, which starts usually somewhere after winter break, is a focus on the theme of authority. And in that unit, we focus on ancient Greece and ancient Rome. We do a pretty deep study on the different government systems of each of those places. We focus on the Greek democracy, the Roman Republic, the difference between those two and how they've impacted our own government system today. And then we end our study by looking at the Vikings and Middle Ages, and during that unit, our theme is conflict, and that's our major focus. This year is, of course, a little different than other years prior. There are some challenges that are going to go along with that while we're all learning remotely, either full-time or on certain days. So I just want to point out to you how our Google Classroom is set up and help you be able to help your students at home to find and access their assignments and keep you in the know as well. So below you see a screenshot from our Google Classroom here in Social Studies. And so one thing I want to point out to you is this left-hand column here. So when you're in the classwork tab, and that's really the main tab you always want to be in, that's where assignments are pushed out from the teachers. You will often see that teachers organize their classwork tab by different topics. So many of these topics are going to pertain to the units of study that we are working on. So map skills was our first unit, you'll see that here. Prehistory is our current unit, and it's listed. And then there are a couple other topics here for you. One that is really important for you to know about is this Notes to Study tab. So whenever we are getting ready to have a test or a quiz, we review with the students what they need to study so that they are well prepared. And in this tab, when you click, during that time, you will be able to find copies of the notes, answer keys, study guides, anything that might be purposeful to help your students prepare. Those can all be printed out and used for studying. We'll also post in there copies of the presentations we've done in class so that they can go through those virtually as a way of studying on the computer. Sometimes there's a Quizlet link, all different methods to help the students prepare themselves for a test or a quiz that might be upcoming. So that's a really important tab to know about and to look out for and to remind your students about when they are at home and getting ready to prepare for an assessment in social studies class. The May Do activities, that is for class when students are done and they are finished early with their work. That's a place where they can look. And there's usually some extension or enrichment activities, and some stay the same all year and then others change depending on the unit we are on. And then here you'll see our current unit is prehistory. So that's the topic that's listed at the top of the classwork section. So it makes it easy for both you and the students to find their work. And you'll notice that everything is dated and it's in chronological order as new assignments are pushed out. So again, that should help you be able to find assignments easily when you're in Google Classroom. So between Google Classroom and Genesis, those are really going to be the 2 places that you're going to want to go to make sure that your student is staying on track and that you are staying up to date on assignments and activities that are being posted. So Google Classroom has all the assignments that are pushed out to students. They're not all graded assignments. Sometimes it's classwork, and sometimes that gets entered as a grade, but sometimes it's just a learning process. And then Genesis, of course, is where you'll find their actual graded assignments listed. In Genesis, you'll see that different assignments hold a different amount of weight. So a little different than the way you might be used to finding an average. You can't just add up each grade and then divide by how many are there, because certain assignments are going to weigh a little more than others. So in DeMacy Middle School, all of our grades in middle school are based 85% on academic progress, and then 15% is based on participation and effort. So on the academic side, you'll see all different kinds of activities listed there in Genesis. We really try hard to provide varied activities so that all students have a chance at success. So there's tests, there's quizzes, there's classwork assignments, there are some creative-based assignments, writing assignments, and then on the participation and effort side, sometimes that's homework, sometimes that's completion of classwork that's not based on right or wrong, but just did you get your work done? Were you using your time wisely? And engagement, participation, especially during this time of year when, again, some of us are learning remotely full-time. Everybody is learning remotely at least part of the time. We are looking and encouraging your students to be engaged in their lessons regardless of their setting. Participating and making themselves, an active part of our class, regardless of where they are that given day. And so again, you'll find all your grades listed in Genesis, and that really is the most accurate place to see where your student is in terms of their progress at any given point in time. Classwork that's listed in Google Classroom is a good starting point, but Genesis has all the final and up-to-date grades of the moment. The other thing that Genesis has that's really useful for you as a parent is this push pin icon next to some assignments. And if you see that next to a graded assignment, click on it. There's usually a message there from the teacher. We might be telling you something that the student needed to improve on, if there's an opportunity to revise work, all that important information be listed for you there. So that is definitely something you want to be paying attention for. The other thing that's different this year is that we have our remote Wednesdays. So remember that remote Wednesday is a half-day schedule. So that means that your teachers are all available from about 7:30 to 11:30, and attendance is taken at the start of the day. The students have been really good about logging in and checking in with their teachers at that time. So I'm really, really happy to see that. When they check into their homeroom, their teacher will remind them that in their homeroom classroom, they have a topic called Remote Wednesday. And so again, important for you to know, on Wednesdays, remind your student to go to that tab and to click on the Remote Wednesday document for that date. And a document will pop up that looks similar to this one. It's much longer, so we'll have all the teachers listed, but each teacher lists out what they want their students to work on for that day. Sometimes it's reinforcement work, sometimes it is finishing something they started the day before, sometimes it's a catch-up day. There might be no new work and they might already be caught up on a given assignment in that class period. But there should be instructions from each teacher, and most importantly, you'll see that each teacher has office hours throughout the day. So those are optional, and they are for any student who has a question or wants to touch base with their teacher. And on our team, every office hour is a half-hour block at a different time. We have a code for the students to be able to access that Google Meet. And again, many of them have taken advantage of that, which is great. And again, it's just a place where they can pop in to ask some questions and get some extra help. And Wednesdays is a really great day to do that. Okay, so that's Remote Wednesdays. So on any of our remote learning days, whether it's a Wednesday or most especially if it's a day that they're home as a learner, but they are accessing their live classrooms that day, some tips for success on those days. And again, most of our students have been doing a really great job with this. We ask that you work hard with your student to encourage them to wake at the usual time on a remote day and treat it like it's a regular school day. So get up, get dressed, eat breakfast, and be ready for homeroom right at that time that they're supposed to be there if they were in school, which is 7:15. When the students are learning at home, it's really helpful for them if they are working at a desk or a table in a quiet spot that's free from distractions. That's just going to help them focus on their lessons better and be able to participate in the way that we need them to so that they can be most successful in their class. Technology concerns. So I know that a lot of times the students are experiencing some tech issues on their end at home, whether they're being dropped from calls or having some lagging and glitching issues, and that can be really frustrating for them in the moment. So a couple of tips for them to help kind of de-stress in that moment is remind them that as long as they have a Wi-Fi access, if their Meet isn't working for them at the time, they can just shoot their teacher an email to let them know, hey, I'm not in the Meet, I'm having some Wi-Fi issues. Or right in the Google Classroom stream, they can place a comment, trying to get back in, but my computer's lagging, something like that. And just lets us know, even if we don't see it immediately, what was happening at the time. That being said, they should also try to troubleshoot. If they can't access the Meet, then the student should go into the classwork section and see if there's an assignment posted and try their best to work through that assignment and still complete their work so they're not falling behind. And again, if they have questions, they can comment right in that assignment or in the classroom stream outside of the Meet to try and get some feedback and communication with us more in the moment. In terms of encouraging students to have those responsible and independent work habits, something else we're going to ask of the students this year is that they are checking their school email twice a day. That is definitely new. It's something that they haven't had access to before. But in this year, it is so important that we are all staying in contact and communicating often with one another. So sometimes on our end as teachers, when we are checking work, we're putting comments into their Google Docs. And one way the students will see those comments and know that we're putting them there is they will receive an email notification. So just like if you were at work, we're encouraging the students to check their email in the morning and in the afternoon. And that way they can stay on top of some of those comments that are coming in. Always, if they have any questions, they can feel free to use that school email to reach out to us and email us with any questions or concerns that they have. And then, of course, just like in any typical year, using that agenda book is going to be really important in keeping them on track. And then lastly, communication, really between all of us, the students, ourselves as teachers, and you as parents and guardians at home. It's going to be so important this year that we are all staying in touch with one another. So if there are any questions you have, any concerns along the way, please don't hesitate to reach out to any of us and send us an email. It's probably the quickest way to get in touch with us. But reach out. It's important that we're all staying in contact and working as a team so that the students can have the most successful year this year. So it's been really great getting to know them. I'm really proud of them for making themselves a part of class, even when they are at home and on a Google Meet. And we look forward to the rest of the year and seeing what it has to bring. Thank you.